What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Lamb Lab Fitness Mastery Nutrition webinar. And what we're going to learn today is I'm going to give you all the secrets that you need to build muscle and to burn more fat and really transform your body. And this is the system that I use with all my successful clients in the past. And it's tried and true. It's not a gimmick where it has a flashy diet name. And what you're going to learn is the basics and foundation. And I'm going to make it as simple as possible so that anybody can do it. It really ultimately comes down to your own motivation and drive to do so. And remember, nutrition is part of the equation. You have to have the training aspect down as well. That means you're lifting weights. Hopefully you're lifting weights at least 3 times a week, supplementing with some cardio training. And when you work with one of our coaches here at Lamb Lab, you're definitely going to get the support and guidance and accountability that you need to reach your goal. However, if you master these skills and have these things ready, you're just going to be a much better, more prepared client for when we work together in the future, or whatever you decide to do in the future. This knowledge will always be valuable. And this is why we call it the Fitness Mastery, because we are dedicated to giving you guys skills to eventually become independent in your own fitness practice, because we believe that with training, anything that good must last. Kind of like this, like your body, if you want to have a successful transformation and you want to maintain a healthy, fit life, you have to pay rent for that every single day. And rent is always due. It cannot be paid for in full. So that's why we got to stay really consistent and have sustainable practices. So let's get into it. So everyone wants to get toned. And what we need to understand is these 3 myths that we're going to dispel. So number 1, there's no bad foods. Even junk food has its place in a successful body transformation. So the reason we say that is because your body, when you consume something, it only recognizes in the form of calories and the nutritional value. So calories, obviously, you consume, and that's energy that you can use and burn in activity. So calories in is from food that you ingest, and then any exercise or walking or type of movements you do will be calories out. Next thing you need to know is that each food has different nutrients in it. So these micronutrients are super critical for a healthy functioning body. However, it doesn't really influence your body composition that much. But when you're going through a journey like this, you kind of can't eat just junk food even if the calories are right, because you're not going to feel good. And if you don't feel good, you're not going to want to continue the journey, and hence making it unsustainable. That's why we need to find a balance, and that's why junk food has its place too. If you only eat healthy, there's a good chance your palate will get very bored, because we're used to salty foods, we're used to tasty, flavorful foods. So we need to kind of satisfy our cravings while at the same time matching the criteria in order to get toned. So that's just part 1. Now, part 2 is your diet and style of training is very critical. So training in a way that's progressive, in a way that you're getting stronger and you track it, that's going to help you accumulate muscle. And muscle is good because it keeps your metabolism really high, and it's going to give you that shape and definition that you want and need to become toned. Last but not least, you must create your own smart way of adhering to your diet. So what that means is we all have, come from different childhoods, we have different ethnicities, we have different tastes. And because of that, I can't just give you what I eat and say, just do this and follow it, because it's not going to apply to you or your lifestyle. So with the principles I'm sharing with you today, you have to implement it into your own life. That's why we have actually all our clients watch this webinar, so that we can give them all their information. And then when we meet, or you meet with your coach, that's when we can work through the nitty gritty and see how we can make it stick to you. So your own way of transforming. So now that you understand calories and that the food you eat is calories in and the activity is calories out, this is how we decide whether we want to lose weight, maintain weight, or gain weight. So when we're doing more activity than we're consuming, this is what we call a deficit. So because you're burning more calories than you're actually getting, the body fat breaks down and then it gets smaller. Hence, you're able to burn fat. And you need to do this on a consistent basis until you get to your body weight goal. Now, 1 pound of body fat is equal to 3,500 calories. So in this example over here, this is a 500 calorie deficit. So theoretically, it would take you 7 days to burn off a pound of fat, assuming you're 500 calories over what you're consuming. So if your goal is to lose weight, that's something to keep in mind. You might want to jot that one down. Next, weight maintenance is an interesting place because even though your weight will maintain here, if you're exercising, what will happen is you're able to burn body fat and build muscle at the same time. However, it won't be as strong as focusing on just weight loss. On the flip side, same thing. If you're trying to build more muscle and you're not really concerned about losing fat, so that would be good for like any skinny guys or girls who really want to pack on muscle or build up their glutes, then you want to be eating more than you do, so that way you're fueling your body and creating a good environment to grow bigger and stronger. So there's a place and time for everything. Most of the time, we should be actually in the weight maintenance, weight gain. And the key thing here, though, is that this is just weight. And what weight refers to is muscle, fat, bones, and organs. So if assuming you're not thinking about what types of food you're eating, then you're going to gain in all 4 of the categories. However, you probably don't want to gain in body fat if you're trying to lose weight. And on the flip side too, when you're trying to gain weight, you don't want to gain excessive fat. We always want to be focused on muscle. So how do we do that? So the first thing we need to do before we discuss that next little bit, we got to find out what your maintenance calories are first. From there, we can decide whether you want to gain 500 calories or deduct 500 calories because we're trying to gain weight or lose weight. So I left a link here for you. You can click this and it'll take you to a calculator which allows you to put in your data and it'll tell you what your estimated calorie intake should be. So I'm going to put my age in and I'm 29 as of today and I weigh 165 pounds today. So my height, I'm going to put 5'8", and I would say I'm a moderate exerciser. So I'm going to calculate this, and what it'll tell me is that my maintenance calories is around 2,616 calories per day. So if I want to lose weight, what I need to do is I need to deduct 500 calories daily, which would put me at around 2,100 calories per day. And if I want to gain weight, if I want to be really aggressive, I'll go up to 500. But if I want to be a bit conservative because I don't want to put on too much fat, then I'll go to 50. So just keep in mind that this is just an estimation. And as you build more muscle, your metabolism will change. But also when you eat more food, your metabolism will pick up. Or if you eat less, your metabolism will slow down. So this is just a starting point. And then from here, you have to assess whether you're making progress or not by weighing in often. I typically would weigh in daily and in the morning time right after I use the washroom. If you're tracking it and you stop seeing progress week to week or bi-weekly, then you know that you need to make an adjustment into your calories. All right, so now that you understand the basics of calories, let's get into the macronutrients. So the macronutrients are the 3 nutrients that yield calories. So what that means is if you look at any nutrition label, it'll always have a number of protein, a number of carbohydrates, and a number of fat. So 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories, 1 gram of carb is equal to 4 calories, and 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. And if you look at this picture here, you'll see that some foods are all carbs. Like we're talking your potatoes, your toast, your fruits, your wheat, your rice. And there's foods that are somewhere in between. So let's say your beans and peas are a form of carb and protein. Your proteins are your meats, milk, nuts. But then you also have the hybrids with the fat and the protein. And then you have your pure fats. So when you're selecting a food, it's going to contain one of the 3 or at least 2 of the 3. Each of these nutrients have a really important job within your body that keep you healthy. But for your physique related goal, protein is probably going to be the most important nutrient. The reason is because muscle is created by protein chains stuck together, and that gives you your muscle. So when you have more protein, you're creating an environment in your body that really wants to maintain it, support it, and hold on to it. So in order to build as much muscle as possible and also burn as much fat, we want to eat about 0.8 to 1 grams per pound of body weight in protein. So just to give you an example in this chart here, 100 grams of any of these things on this chart would be equal to the protein at the bottom. So for example, 100 grams of chicken breast, meaning if you went to the grocery store, got a food scale and put a chicken breast on it, and it's at 100 grams, you would get about 29 grams of protein. Now each source is a little bit different and has different calories, so that's when you got to work with your coach to go in and try to create like a mock day to understand how much protein you need. And for a lot of you, it's going to be really shocking because this is way more than you're used to eating. So it's kind of like a build up and you have to work up towards that. But some people, if you come from like a heavy protein diet, then this will be really easy for you. And another thing is if you're trying to lose fat, protein is probably the most satiating nutrient. What satiating means is it feels the most filling. So when you get something like this, you won't feel as hungry. So that's what makes it really easy when you're trying to lose weight and fat, because hunger is going to be something you're going to have to battle with, a mind over matter thing, and then kind of a necessary feeling in order to lose weight is you're going to be fighting your mind, but hey, you got to be smart, eat your protein, eat vegetables, like foods that are basically low calorie but high volume. That will keep you full for long. So these are kind of some tricks of the trade that will make your journey a lot more successful. So in order to know how much protein you're eating in the first place, you can use smart apps like MyFitnessPal and input different foods and create, and it'll kind of create like your meal plan, and it'll calculate how much protein, carbs, and fats you're eating. So you can set your calorie goal. So for example, in this example, it's 2,000. You can adjust it to whatever you want in the app and then use it to make sure you're getting this many calories and you're also getting the right amount of protein. In terms of the other foods, you should be putting in almost everything you can in your first week. So that includes your oils, your sauces. Try not to eat out at all that first week because it's going to skew your numbers. Like when you eat out, they make it as delicious and tasty as possible. No one's weighing anything out. They don't care about your goal. But if you truly care about your goal, it's just 1 week of not going out. You can do it. If you can't do that, you got bigger problems anyways. So don't go out for a week. Cook all your food, put it all in MyFitnessPal, and you're running an audit on your own diet. And then from there, you'll be able to adjust and either put it in your weight loss calories, your maintenance calories, or your weight gain calories with the correct amount of protein. Once you get that system down, you're already on track to achieving your body transformation. It just becomes a time game at that point and really sticking to it, and no matter what, not giving up. So it's almost like the longest marathon you're going to run. Now, just so you know, a typical person, a bigger person with more weight can lose weight a bit faster. So you can expect to lose up to 2 pounds per week. A smaller person, so an example would be like maybe a 130 pound, 120 pound female below 5'5", your deficit is going to be a lot smaller. So that means you probably want to lose 0.7 to 1.5 pounds per week at most. And also, if you're starting a weight training routine and a fat loss journey, what will happen is you're going to be building muscle at the same time and losing fat. So you might not even see any changes in your weight. So in that case, you got to make sure you take progress photos and go off your clothing size to see if they're actually changing or not. So now that you know how to track your food, you got to remember it's just a tool to help you get to your goal. It's helping you develop a frame of reference so you know by looking at a food, you kind of already know how many calories and how much protein it has. And then eventually when you become a pro and an expert at it, you don't really need to track at all. So until you feel like you mastered it, you got to keep tracking. And then once you achieve your goal, you can slow down and then cut the tracking out, because it's really neurotic sometimes and people lose that balance. So it's key that you understand that it's just a tool that you got to do for the short term if you want gains in the long term and progress in the long term. So, as your coach now, or if you decide to work with us, it becomes our responsibility to help guide you towards your goal and also be really real with you. If you're not able to do the things you want to do in nutrition, then at the end of the day, you might need to readjust your goal. Now, if you're doing everything your coach says and it's still not working, that's on us to make sure we're changing and manipulating your plan so that you keep making progress. We also want to know how often you like to be checked in with. We want to know what your food preferences are, any obstacles you're going through. As a coach, we are really taking your goal as our responsibility as well. So constant communication between both you as the client and us as the coach is so key. There should be no feelings that you're going to burden us, because at the end of the day, you guys are a reflection of us too. Because if you're not looking and feeling your best, then that's partially on the trainer, because it's our job to help you make you look as good and feel as good as you possibly can through a scientific approach. So now, in your training app where you get your workout plans, you'll also find a spot to put your weigh-ins in, your average weekly calories, your average protein intake, and these are things we're monitoring over time to make sure you're making progress. Now this needs to be submitted every night by Sunday, because on Monday morning all the coaches are logging onto their computers and they're checking every single one of your programs, and they're gonna want to see your nutrition, because they might need to make an adjustment if you're not making progress fast enough or not making progress at all. So that would trigger us to make a call with you, come talk to you when you come to the gym, and really just make sure that, hey, are we getting good use out of your time? Now we want to show you a quick little sample of a healthy plate. It's very basic, but you can kind of just imagine what you would have in here when you make a plate. So you want some type of carb because it's going to fuel your workouts. You're going to want a quarter plate of protein. This is about 100 grams of chicken breast right there. So that's your 30 grams. Water, you guys stay hydrated, because it's going to, if you're dehydrated all the time, it actually affects your cognitive function, it affects your physical performance. You're going to lose reps in the gym, and you're not going to be thinking clearly. You obviously got to eat your vegetables because you need the fiber and the micronutrients to keep you healthy. And remember, I said earlier in the video, it's about food volume and staying full. Now, once you give yourself time, you're going to eventually achieve your goal. And if you're slowly working at your protein, it could take you 2 to 4 weeks to get you up to the right amount of protein. You can kind of like keep adding 10 to 20 grams every single week until you get to your desired goal. And it takes about 1 to 1.5 years for a complete novice to usually have a transformation that's really significant, where people are like, whoa, do you work out now? Or like that whoa factor where they see you and they see a lot of change, like your face, your arms, your legs, everything. But like I said, you'll actually see changes after 1-2 weeks time as well. But as you get closer and closer to your goal, 1 pound actually makes a big visual change compared to 1 pound at the very beginning. You can kind of think of fat loss like a paper towel roll. You just loaded it in the kitchen and you rip 1 or 2 sheets off and it doesn't look like much is gone. But after you've ripped off like 30 sheets, you're like, oh shoot, I gotta get a new one and reload it. So that's kind of how it goes with fat loss as well. With muscle building, that is a constant journey. I don't want to forget that. So you always want to be seeking to add more muscle, because we're always losing it as we age. So muscle building is so much easier. You just got to eat. You got to train hard. You got to train with intensity. It's easy to get lazy, I will say, in a muscle building phase, because you're just eating as much as you enjoy. You're going to put on some fat, but that's okay, because you're essentially trying to build up as much muscle as you can over 2 up to 5 years before you do your next fat loss phase anyways. Or if you're a complete beginner, you just want to focus on training hard for the first year. And that's it. So I hope you learned a lot about how nutrition can influence your body composition. All I can say is I wish you good luck, and I hope you work with one of our coaches. We pretty much have the training system down. All you got to do is show up and really bring it, and we're going to take care of you. Make sure you stay injury-free, stay healthy, and that you're increasing weights in the gym, increasing reps, so that you get the best result possible. We also want you to recover well too, because if you're training too hard and you're not recovering, you actually see your strength drop and you're not going to make any progress in terms of your muscle building or fat loss. So me and our coaches, we're all going to take care of all that for you, and you're essentially outsourcing all the stress to us. Now, you got this free webinar. I hope you give our 30-day results in advance program a try, because this way you're going to test out how our system really feels and what group you enjoy being with. It's so much fun. It's such a community. So I personally invite you to come down to our gym and try out that 30-day program. And now, if you want some more bonus content as well, just to help you in your journey more, I threw in three PDF guides. One's a food list, the tried and true bodybuilding foods that are delicious and guaranteed to work. I got you a guide on how to eat out at restaurants and be social while achieving your fitness goal. And also have a recovery guide for mental and physical health, because this fitness journey is a long one. So you got to make sure that we have balance where we're getting good stress and managing all the bad stress. So once again, thank you for joining me for this video. And if you liked it, make sure you send us a message. Let us know your questions or your comments on it. And we really hope to see you in the gym or on online training. And have an amazing one.